Okay, there's one more thing for today I'd like to go over. If we have some time, I think I've been going a little long. I want to try to identify the right and left arms and forearms. I've already, as you might have watched me do on time lapse there, I did do some trimming out. You can see the difference between the ones that are trimmed and the ones that aren't trimmed. You can see the difference there. But what I want to figure out before I go any further is which ones are which ones for which arm. And there is a handy booklet. The Anovos instructions are actually quite handy in determining right from left because they're not marked on the pieces themselves. And there's slight differences between the right and left. So I'm going to look here, and this would be the right, and it has the bulge here. And it has the flat edge here. And let me just check that this is the opposite one. Yes, and this has the bulge there. So this is, if you look forward, this is the right. Let me just write an R in here. And this would be the left. And let's check these pieces. We're going to try to figure out which one's which. Now, the one with the flare, I think I actually have these reversed. Let's see. Let's see if we can see it better on one of the other pictures. I have this other diagram here as well, confirming that yes, this is the right and that this is the left. And let's look at it this direction. Let's look at the one I trimmed. Okay, so I'm pretty confident this is the right. Now let's just check the shape of this one. You see that curve there. So I'd say this is definitely the left. So we want to make sure we're using the right one with the right one. So let's just make sure that these line up. These do line up pretty well. Let's make sure these line up. These do line up pretty well. And look like the correct forearms. This is the right. So then when this goes on your arm, you want that curve to be down at the bottom and the straight edge to be out, which is what I see here. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so let's go through some of the other parts and just identify them. I want to make sure I have the right parts identified so that I join the right ones to the right ones. And I haven't started on the biceps yet. Let's figure out the biceps. Now biceps, they're not showing which one has the dimple because in this, the Anovos ones do not have the dimple. But I'm going to try to figure out from the shape which ones are which. Okay, so the curve in, and this one has the curve in. Let me see, I also have a computer here. Let me see if this is UK's Rath's build thread, which was very useful in just doing some research for this. I want to see if he identified which one was which. I don't think he did in his thing. Okay, so this has the little flare inside. This has the little flare inside. As you can see here, if you look closely, there's a little flare that comes in the inside, and I think This might, it's hard to tell. Okay, this looks perfectly straight, and this looks like it has the little curve. And the little curve should be more on the inside, so I'm assuming that that means the right arm has the dimple and the left arm does not in this case. Let me see if I can confirm that, just so I don't tell you the wrong thing here. And of course in his example he doesn't have the dimple at all in his. But I'll do some more research, but for now I'm pretty confident that this looks totally straight to me, and this has the little curve, and this actually has this extra little piece, and I think I can confirm that here. And this is straight up, this is straight in, so I'm going to put right, left, and let's check these. Again, we see the little flare here, which looks like it matches the pieces here, and this has the little flare here, so this is right. And this is left. Just so I don't get confused. Okay, now let's just check the legs. I want to make sure I get the legs correct as well, and I pair those up with the right pieces before I get to the trimming of the rest of the parts here. Okay, so these are the calves of the shins, as I call them, and they look pretty much identical, but there is a slight difference in some of them that we want to determine if there is any difference at all. And I don't think there is, but I'm going to double check. The shins seem pretty left, right, doesn't really matter, but what we do have to be careful of is when we are doing these, which one's which piece. So this is definitely this piece, and this is definitely this piece. Let's see if we can pair up the right one with the right one. Like these don't line up. Let me see if this lines up a little better. Better example here. Without them being trimmed, it's hard to determine exactly which one's which here. This one definitely has more of a curve on the front than this one. Okay, these two are identical and these two are not. One of these is the left and the right. I gotta figure out which one is which here. And this looks like it would be the one that's the left leg. This one looks like it would be the left leg as well. the shape. This is, this would be, this looks like it's the left, I'm sorry, this looks like it's the left and left, and this looks like it's the right and the right. Now let's check if that matches up based on the graphic. Okay, that matches perfect. As perfect as it's going to match from looking at it like this. So this looks like these are the lefts. If that's correct, then this should be the rights, based on the shapes. And you see, I'm trying to match up the two halves with the right shapes so that I'm getting it correct. And this is a common mistake a lot of people make with these kits, is not matching up the right ones with the right ones. That's a little off. This would be the right leg. It looks a little off to me. The backs match up okay. So I'm not too happy about how these aren't matching up properly. Let me see if I assume it's been cut and go like this. Well, then it matches up a little better. Yeah, but it's critical that you get the shape right. You have to have that bump in the right place. You have to make sure that the flap goes on the back so that you can hide the Velcro. And this way, when you mark them, you also know which one has to have the Velcro on the inside and which one doesn't. So I'm going to make an assumption at this point and just say that these are both the right. And go from there. Because this does look correct now. Even though it doesn't line up perfectly when you see it, when it's cut, it's trimmed, it should line up properly. And then we have to make sure, and I'm going to mark that here, that since this is the right leg, this would be on my right leg, you want this to be the flap. So I'm going to write here so I don't screw that up. Flap. Flap side. We'll get into that later, but when you have the armor, you want to make sure that you put the strip that's going to cover the Velcro on the flap side, and this would be considered the flap side. And that way the Velcro is only showing on the inside of your leg. And for the left leg, I'm going to do the same. Let me size up the left leg. Forward, as if I'm going to be wearing it. And then this would be the flap side on my left leg. And that's the overhanging flap. So I'm writing flap there. This is just a reminder for me. Down the line, this is so I don't make mistakes. I like to identify the parts. I usually do this right when I open the kit, but I just remembered I really should do it and give you an example. And now we'll do the rest of the legs based on the chart. And we have to figure out, okay, this is the inside right, inside left. This is the outside right, left. Okay, there we go. That looks correct. Now you see this is the big scoop, and we're matching that with this big scoop. This is that curved edge. That's that curved edge. We want to make sure that we get that right as well. As a matter of fact, let me just see here. So when this is done, this would be, make sure I got that right. That's weird. This one looks like it could also be this one. Let me just make sure. I think that is that one. Okay, so this, we almost got that wrong. Okay, so this is the front right, this is the front left, and these are the inside pieces. So what this is going to look like when it's done is these get put together and get lined up, and they'll be you know, much joined more together. And then there's the backs, and then this would be the right leg, and that would be the left leg. So I'm going to write right on this, right. Yeah, there's the scoop. There's the inner scoop. This is the inner scoop that goes on your leg here. So this would be the right and right. And again, this is just so I don't screw it up later, but I'm pretty confident I got that right. And if not, we'll notice stuff not lining up and we'll go, uh-oh. But that is definitely the right scoop that's on the inner part of the thigh. It's a very distinctive shape, and you can see it there when you put it together. And this is the left. It's critical you get that right. I've had so many people, and I've done it myself, where I'm cutting it and getting it lined up, and then it's not lining up, and I'm getting frustrated, and I realize, oh my god, I got the wrong pieces. Okay, now this lines up perfect, and that's, again, you see that scoop for the inside of the thigh, and that's what I want on the inside. And this would be for the left leg, so that would be that one. So I'm going to put left, just inside the armor. Just nobody's ever going to see that. That's just for me. So when I'm assembling these, I don't confuse myself and put the wrong ones on the wrong pieces, the wrong halves. Okay, now still a lot of work to do. Again, this Anovos manual is very helpful just for like this piece identification. Some of the other stuff it goes over. This is available at UK's Rath's build thread for the Shadow Trooper. He was very nice to provide this. He also provides a guide that he has online that I've used as well. And he includes the plastic strip guide, which is also in the manual, and the identification guide. And the identification guide is great just to see which pieces go where, and make sure that you're getting them correct, assembled correctly. There's only two pieces left that I have to cut out from the strips, and that's the belt boxes, the ammo strip, and I got the belt as well. Now I already have a belt that I got with a previous costume that I might be able to use. I'm going to see how that works. And this one has a couple of scratches that I might be able to get out with some Novus polish. But these are the belt boxes. This is the part that goes around the leg. That's this part right here. And I have to figure out how much I have to cut off of that to get that straight. And then you have to use a compass to make the curve here, because it's curved around the bottom part. And we'll do that with a compass and make sure that do that. You could also do it with a pipe or anything round that has that curvature on it. But I can usually use a compass and just try to make the curve there. But we'll cut these parts out next time, as well as doing some of the other thing. And you'll also notice that this is a much thinner plastic than this. This one is so thick, I don't know how the heck I'm going to wrap this around the leg, but we'll figure that out. Okay, until next time, thanks everybody for checking out what I've been working on. Last time I had shown you the strip cutting. I just want to show you the result. This is after about 2 or 3 hours of work. These are all my strips now have been cut in the various sizes. I have a couple of extra for each size, except number 20. I think I only have exactly enough, but I have 2 or 3 25s. I have like 8 or 9 15s, and I got 5 or 6 20s, which should be enough. I actually have 6 20s. That should be enough for everything. So you take that whole pile of those junky cover strips, and this is what you end up with, which is the nicely cut cover strips. And again, even though you can tell by eye, I do like to number them so that I can just reach and grab the next one that I need when I'm assembling the armor and gluing them together. I'm still debating whether I'm going to use the CA glue or the E6000 glue. I do prefer the E6000 glue most of the time, but the CA glue is much quicker, so we might use that for some demonstrations and use the E6000 for stuff that I leave overnight. Okay, well, thanks everybody. We'll see you later.